As gold futures soar to all-time highs, what does it really mean for Bitcoin in the crypto markets? Hey everyone, Jenny Horne here, and this is Crypto Corner on Schwab Network. Let's dive into it now with Nate Peterson, Director of Derivatives Research and Strategy at the Schwab Center for Financial Research. Nate, thanks for being here. Let's start off with a look at the chart of Bitcoin, kind of stuck near that 90,000 level.
Yeah. Hey. Good morning, Jenny. Yeah, this is on Fed Day here. Right now, it's Wednesday, so we'll know about the Fed later today. We'll see if Bitcoin reacts to that. But yeah, let's start with the technicals because it has been, just really disappointing for Bitcoin and crypto investors in terms of performance. And meanwhile, you watch, like you mentioned, gold and silver just taking off, to the upside. And I will say, if you look at correlation historically, Bitcoin does have a lag in relation to gold, but you probably would have expected to see that kind of read through into price as of now, meaning historically there's maybe a 3 to 6 month lag when gold prices move to the upside. Theoretically, they're being driven by the same underlying thesis. And we're just not seeing that in Bitcoin. So looking at the charts here, I guess the best thing I'll just start off that I can say about Bitcoin is that it is, as you mentioned, Jenny, just hanging out around this $88,000 to $90,000 level. Part of the reason I think that it's been, so lackluster. First, we had the Clarity Bill that basically got, hit a roadblock. That was going to be Bitcoin actually ran up to basically 98,000 in anticipation of that Clarity Act. But then after it hit that roadblock, then, the selling just came back in, and it doesn't really have a catalyst, though one would think that with a lot of the, dollar going lower, we're at multi-year lows on the dollar with some of the concerns around the fiscal policy, new tariffs, sell America, some of those types of themes, one would think that that would be good for Bitcoin as a safety play, so to speak, a relative store of value. That's not reading through. And then on the chart here, I've got the 200-day simple day moving average along with the 50-day. And then I'll point out that, that blue aqua line is your faster moving 50-day simple moving average. You can see that it's rolled over and it's crossed below the 200-day simple moving average. That's called a death cross, technically speaking. We did our last death cross on Bitcoin basically back in 2022. When we went through a significant drawdown, I think 65 to 70% from peak to trough, back when the equity market went through a bear market. And I'll just say this, I've been trading since the late 90s. I'm a technician. The death cross sounds very scary, but when I've done some research and looked over the past, by the time this indicator shows up, it's too lagging, I feel like. I mean, that in order for the underlying asset, being an index stock or in this case Bitcoin, to roll over in price, to get that 50-day simple moving average to then turn and follow suit and get below the 200, that takes a lot of time. So that by the time you actually get a signal on there, I don't put a lot of credence into it. I feel like it's a little bit too lagging, even though the name sounds very scary. So prices, levels to watch here in the near term. I'll say number one, 85,000. That seems to be roughly as a bull, you do not want to see it break 85,000. Number two, 80,000. You would not want to see it break below 80,000. We can continue to consolidate to the sideways notion as we've been doing here over the past 3 months, provided if you're bullish, you want to see this begin to resolve to the upside, and we just haven't seen that. What would that mean? Get above 95K and then get into an upward trend. And then that should then begin to bring forth some potential volume, participation by the retail, open interest increase, etc. That would be more encouraging. In the meantime, we're just going to have to be patient as we let this consolidation period play out.
Yeah, and I will say that we're seeing actually a lot of the similarities now also echoed in Ethereum. And so as far as summit levels you're watching, they're similar to kind of pinning right now that $3,000 level.
Yeah, exactly, Jenny. You got it. On Solana, it's around 125, 120 to 125. On Ethereum, it's about 2,800 to 3,000. Let's look at an Ethereum chart here. You can see here similar type of a story that it's over the past 3 months or so, it's gone down to roughly that $2,800 level. Uh, the 200-day moving average is around 3,200. We don't have it on the chart here, but that's really been sideways. It hasn't been trending. So I've got the 50-day simple moving average up here as well. We know that 4,900 has roughly been the all-time high. Now it looks like support at 2,800. Again, if you're an Ethereum bull, you want to see it stay above 2,800. And it's basically 28 to 3,400 ish that we've seen over the past 3 months. So 3,400 resistance. What do you want to see? Resolution to the upside above that 3,400. Ethereum is also in an interesting situation because of the fundamental drivers that potentially could begin to impact price here, and that being the utilization of the Ethereum network for a lot of the stable coins and a lot of the real world asset tokenization that's going on. That hasn't quite played out in terms of seeing significant price appreciation on Ethereum. But we're going to have to, again, the whole cohort of cryptos generally tend to move together. Ethereum tends to be higher beta, meaning it moves more higher or lower when Bitcoin moves. Let's say Bitcoin's up or down 1%, Ethereum's generally up or down 2 or 3%. It has that kind of beta with the price there. So we'll have to continue to watch Ethereum. And then, Jenny, just speaking of both Bitcoin and Ethereum, we are in the fourth year of this Bitcoin 4-year cycle. And in the 4-year cycle, now keep in mind, guys, this is a limited data set. There's only been 4 4-year cycles for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a relatively new asset here. So take it with a grain of salt. But we are in the year that historically you would see a bearish year for Bitcoin and crypto prices. We saw it last in 2022, the year after the last halving. But this time around, a lot of strategists believe that it's different, and they point to institutional demand. They point to the fundamental drivers. They point to the legislative work that's in. It's in play. We'd like to see some more resolution. Like to see more of that Clarity Act make its way through the House, through the Senate, and ultimately provide that foundation for faster adoption. So a lot of the crypto bulls, so to speak, I mean, Tom Lee, Kathy Woods, etc., they believe that this year could be different in the sense that we've already seen a 30% drawdown from peak to trough on Bitcoin last Q4. And number two, institutions are involved, which is decreasing volatility, providing more of kind of support, so to speak, to price. And because of those fundamental drivers, that this year it could be different in terms of breaking that the curse, so to speak, of this Bitcoin winter fourth year. But we'll again have to see how this plays out here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and I will say that you also put this on my radar, which I think is really interesting, and that's really highlighting an article pertaining to the rise of quantum computing and how it could hypothetically, of course, pose a threat to crypto. And so it's not the first time we've heard this narrative, but tell us a bit more about how this is playing out.
Yeah, Jenny. So, just recently, the Ethereum Foundation announced that they're like, hey guys, we need to stop postponing, so to speak, this types of research because it looks like quantum's moving faster than previously anticipated. If you go back to last year, Jenny, and listen to the comments out of Jensen Huang, he was basically saying, oh yeah, quantum, 15, 20 years away. So that's, don't worry about, it's a longer term kind of a story. There's still a long runway for that. And then you fast forward, and we are seeing more quantum type announcements. AWS is quantum ready, et cetera. These types of announcements that are coming into place. We've seen quantum contracts being announced. So quantum computing appears to be moving faster than everyone anticipated. And you look at Ethereum Foundation is saying, hey, this is a strategic priority. We've got to be post-quantum ready. If you look at BlackRock, they cited in their IBIT Bitcoin spot ETF that quantum computing is a risk. They put that last May. If you look at Coinbase last week, They established a strategic quantum board in order to address this potential issue. And Jenny, this is probably the number one threat, I would guess, to Bitcoin and crypto in general, is that quantum may have the capability, since their supercomputing would be able to break some of the encryption there and get into those private wallets. And if there's not the ability, technologically speaking, to have a Bitcoin fork or Ethereum fork, which will make it quantum proof, then that would be a big issue for the industry. So you have a lot of these crypto backers that are saying, "Hey, we really need to take this seriously." Ethereum Foundation is putting out, some grants, some funds, some awards basically to help incentivize the research into making crypto quantum resilient, so to speak. And Vitalik Buterin, the co-founder of Ethereum, he said previously that he thought that quantum computing being able to break, the crypto encryption, the cryptography before 2030, he put it at 20%. But that can change. And so the bottom line is this remains one of those potential risks. And it looks like that the runway for this risk that we're going to have to deal with might be getting shorter. But the good news is, if they're putting resources towards these types of research, that could be, that would be a bullish catalyst for the crypto universe. If they say, hey, we've developed, this technology that makes it quantum proof, that would be a boon for price, because that would remove a big thorn in a lot of the bull side in the crypto industry.
Yeah, and really interesting discussions surrounding the quantum theme, and of course, something to continue to pay attention to moving forward into 2026. Our thanks to Nate Peterson. That will do it for Crypto Corner. Be sure to subscribe to Schwab Network's YouTube channel for more. I'm Jenny Horne. We'll see you again soon.